Hey guys, Jim over here at JP Property Consulting. So today's quick tip video, we're going to go through some marketing and leasing tactics, things that we're taught over at the big apartment communities, some things to uh, help market your properties and market your vacancies and make you stand out against your competition. So one of the things that we're taught to do is to kind of make sure you get an idea of what your property's unique features are for your property. Even though you may have just a house that you're renting and there's another house down the road from you that's for rent as well too, get to know what your particular house or your apartment that you're renting out, its unique features. You may have, let's say, more windows, for more sunlight to come in, or a larger backyard or something like that. Have an idea, get to know your competition in the area, do a kind of a study and take a look at, see, what other places around nearby, within a 5 mile radius of you, what they're charging for rent, and do a comparable study. So don't just, if you have a house, don't compare it to maybe other apartments that are down the road. Look at other houses that are for rent. And if you're looking at other houses that are for rent, maybe compare let's say your backyard to the backyard of the other house down the road. Get a square footage of how large your backyard is, that of this house that you're renting out, and advertise that square footage, because a lot of times when they hear, well, wow, it's got a backyard of X amount of square feet, maybe they're going to now wonder how much square footage is that house down the road for the backyard or so on. And so get an idea of some unique features. Measure your basement and get an idea of how large your basement is in that house that you're renting out. If it's an apartment, again, understand what your building or your community has that's different that from down the road, and stress that. Maybe you're a half a block away from the bus stop. Okay, that might be important to some people. Make sure you're saying that and telling people that in your advertising. Now, for the actual vacancies themselves, when you're walking people through vacancies, some little tips and tricks to do. One of the things that we do is we have what's called mini models. Okay, so if you're not going to set up a full-fledged model like a couch and chairs and a TV and everything like that, have what's called a mini models, that we call, where you just kind of decorate the bathroom. You're just going to decorate the kitchen or so on, and maybe just put some decorative stuff with a shower curtain and maybe some bath rugs and like the toilet covers, the seat cover, things like that, and just kind of color it up and dress up the bathroom a little bit. Put some little trinkets on the countertop. Do the same thing with the kitchen. You can do one or the other or both, and then have like placemats on the breakfast bar, little rugs in the kitchen or something like that, and cups and plates on the countertop, to kind of simulate a home. And it just kind of brightens things up and makes things a little stand out a little bit more. One of the things that we had done in some of my communities that I've managed in the past is when we would set up mini models, we would have a little promotional thing saying, if you rent this apartment, if you like the stuff that's in the kitchen, you like all these little trinkets and the placemats and the plates and the cups and silverware and all the decorative stuff that we have in here. If you rent this apartment, this is yours. You get to keep this stuff in the bathroom. The rugs and the shower curtain or whatever. So have maybe something like that you can offer them too. Make sure you have an understanding as to how far away you are, as we talked about a minute ago, how far away you are from the nearest health club or gym, or maybe the nearest grocery store or drugstore. The nearest school. Get it, and put that into some of your advertising, or even just have that stuff available for people when they ask. You're a half mile from the nearest drugstore. You're 3/4 of a mile from the nearest, from the post office or whatever, and get a measurement and have that information available. Because when they ask questions, a lot of times you're going to be that one that's going to be able to quickly zip off this information to them, and they're going to remember that. You're going to be the knowledgeable guy or gal that's going to be giving them all these facts, how far away you are from the nearest grocery store or what have you. Other things to do, have something like a tape measure available. Okay, when you in your model, if you have model apartments or like a full-fledged model apartment, or in your mini models or your vacant units, just keeping a tape measure in the kitchen drawer. A lot of times they'll walk through and they'll say, I wonder if my bed's going to fit here, or I wonder if my dresser's going to fit in here. And knowing what they're, maybe you can measure it for them and just tell them, hey, look, you've got this much space along the wall here, and it maybe help them make that decision a little bit better. Also, know the particular bed sizes. So if they tell you I've got a queen size bed, you should have an understanding of how big how big a queen size bed is. In my coursework that I offer on my website, jppropertyconsulting.com, I have classes on different things such as fair housing and marketing and leasing tactics and application processing and so on. And in my my marketing and leasing class, one of the things that we do is I give you the rundown of all the bed sizes, how big the twin bed is and full size bed, and you can kind of cut that out and keep it with you and keep it with your notes, so that you can, when they tell you I've got a king size bed, you'll be able to tell whether it's going to fit in that bedroom, and just pull out that tape measure and kind of ease that anxiety from them and say, see, look, it's going to fit right here because a king size bed is here to here, right? Giving them that. So having that information available for them is going to be helpful. Work with some of your local businesses nearby. Coffee shops, maybe maybe some chiropractor down the road, or an eye specialist down the road, and work with them by doing things. Maybe if you're going to put a flyer up in their waiting area or in their lobby, and then in exchange, maybe you want to do something where you grab some of their business cards and say, hey, thank you for visiting XYZ Apartments. Here's a free, cup of coffee at Joe's Coffee Shop down the road. It not only kind of helps them remember you, and it helps you work with Joe's Coffee Shop down the road. And then you can put your brochures or your flyers over at Joe's Coffee Shop as an exchange. So you work with some businesses nearby, things that you want to stay away from, as we've talked about in my fair housing class. Try not to do things like putting your flyers and ads over at the nearest church. Okay, because then it's, we don't want to be focusing our advertising on things that are particular to certain protected class groups. Okay, so try not to put your advertising and your marketing efforts towards things like that, but just staying towards neutral stuff like a coffee shop or a donut shop down the road or something like that. Having some gift baskets for local businesses. If ever a new business comes into town, and they're going to build up a new Quick Trip gas station or a new donut shop down the road, have a or even like a new hospital or something. Have a gift basket that you'll make with some donuts and stuff like that in there, and then have your flyer and go bring it to them and say, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's our information. If any of your employees are looking to move, are new to the area, send them our way. We have vacancies available or so on. So do things like that. In the mini models, one of the things that we used to do, going back to the mini model thing with the decorating the bathroom and decorating the kitchens and stuff, we would have little quirky signs that would kind of help them be memorable for them when they would leave and go home for the day. We'd say we'd have a little sign on the mirror in the bathroom, and it would say something like, "You would look great here at XYZ Apartments." Right? Or we'd have a fake tree, a fake plant in the living room, and it would have a little sign on there saying, "Plant yourself here at so-and-so Apartments." Little things like that just kind of makes it quirky and catchy stuff that they remember you at the end of the day when they're trying to remember all the places that they looked at today. So these are little tips and tricks. Having things like, maybe you give them a little bag of popcorn and says, "Thanks for popping in over at so-and-so Apartments," or if they have big walk-in closets, we'd have a little sign that says, "Wow, huge closets," and then it just kind of helps them stick that out in their head when they remember this at the end of the day, when they're trying to remember all the places they looked at. You kind of stick out to them. So that's a little bit something. These are some little tips and tricks that we do for marketing and helping to market our vacancies. I've got part 2 coming up, so stay tuned for part 2 of this. We've got more marketing and leasing tips coming up. So if you like this, hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more of my videos. To give you a little bit of understanding where I come from, I come from managing the big apartment communities, the large property management companies, national and statewide companies, and my company of JP Property Consulting in my videos kind of focuses all that training that we get over at the large organizations and brings it over to the small landlord. So again, if this sounds interesting to you, go check out my website, jppropertyconsulting.com. I've got coursework on each one of these subjects, from fair housing to marketing and leasing, application processing, and property operations, and so on. And each one of the classes comes with downloadable forms that you can use that are pertainable to each class, could be useful for you. So again, go check it out, jppropertyconsulting.com, and thank you guys for watching.